Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Situation in the north. Burned Ukrainian legacy. KGB officer sentenced. Russian nuclear shield damaged. Starlink Fever. According to our General Staff, Russian offensive in the Kharkiv region has been stopped, and we are now conducting counterattacks to drive invaders beyond the borderline. It may be a difficult process, but we have seized the initiative. On this map you can see that there were no big changes over the week, and this confirmed that message that Russians rushed to begin this operation to open the front in the north in connection with the release of a new package from the United States. They wanted to have time to capture more of our land before we have enough resources for active defense. Now I want to show you this chart, which covers the 26 months of active phase of war from the 24th of February in 2022 to the 1st of May in 2024. It clearly showed the territorial losses and achievements of Ukraine, with the exception of territories occupied before the start of a full-scale invasion, in the east and the Crimean Peninsula, of course. You can see the wild jumps in the graph in the first year of invasion, where the green bar stands out nicely in the middle of the year. The successful Kharkiv operation, when our forces liberated a huge territory in the northeast, and Kherson operation in the south. And then, look how smooth this plateau looks. This is a classic positional war with minimal losses of territory. Yes, of course, up close it can look terrible, like the loss of Bakhmut, which heroically stood for so long, or of Avdiivka. But in the long run, it all looks like stagnation. How do you understand this? It's bad that we can't forcefully push Russians out of our land and liberate thousands of kilometers like we did in the Kharkiv region. It's good that they cannot push through our defenses and bite large chunks of territory, as was the case in the very beginning. Because of this damn war, I began to study military analytics and politics against my will. All I have understood so far is that economics now decides. I want to believe that our partners will not let us fall and Russia will not be able to feed its military machine endlessly. I really want to live to see victory and come home to Mariupol one day. President Zelensky visited a printing house in Kharkiv, where Russian missiles hit yesterday and killed 7 people, wounded 20 people, and burned a huge warehouse, more than 50,000 of books. Why is it important? 7 dead people is terrible in the first place. Books. Russians destroyed a large printing house that produced Ukrainian textbooks, books, and newspapers. It may seem old-fashioned to destroy books as the German Nazis did during the Second World War, but it is important. Not all books can be replaced by the internet. Here is what journalist Francis Farrell wrote for Kyiv Independent. If your main goal in life is the destruction of a nation, its people and culture, then a publishing house full of civilians busy at work manufacturing books for adults and children is a great choice of target. And I couldn't describe it better. Ukraine has a very long history of destruction of our writers, artists, journalists, and other cultural figures whom the Soviet Union and later Russia destroyed. This war for us is a centuries-old battle for survival of our culture and our people as a whole. Just look how Russians are afraid of yellow and blue colors and words in Ukrainian language. As soon as they captured Mariupol, they immediately changed the letter E at the entrance from I with dot. In Ukrainian we have a dot over E, and as in English, to the Russian letter E. I never thought before that this was such an important moment. A former Soviet officer named Alexander Kostorny received a 15-year prison sentence with confiscation of property at the age of 74. Is this a harsh measure? Most likely this old man will die in prison. Why was he so severely punished by the Ukrainian court? In 2022, he guided 30 Russian missiles into the Yavoriv polygon site in Ukraine and killed 61 people. He did not admit his guilt at trial. Is this a harsh measure, 15 years of life of an old traitor for 61 lives of defenders of their homeland? Russian Voronezh DM over-the-horizon early warning radar station in the Krasnodar region of Russia was damaged as a result of a drone attack. This radar would provide a detection range of up to 6,000 kilometers horizontally and 7,000 kilometers vertically, with tracking of up to 500 targets at once. It was created to detect ballistic intercontinental missiles and one of the elements of the nuclear shield. Russians, of course, said that they shot down all the drones and there was no damage. But we have these photos. In this picture I've circled in red the operating radius of this powerful radar. It seems someone has another gap in their air defense. Yesterday minus S-400 complex, today minus the radar. Such a sweet spot for a bunch of F-16s. It is reported that our Starlinks have been performing poorly at the front line for more than a week. Sometimes speed drops unexpectedly, sometimes terminals lose the connection. I think everyone understands how important this is in our combat management system, and first of all, Russians definitely understand this. Communication experts say this has been happening since the last update, and it may simply coincide with Russian attempt to launch an offensive from the north ahead of their schedule. As a former head of the IT department with many years of experience, I can say that updates can be a bigger problem than their absence. In simple words, if something works, don't touch it for God's sake. I also heard an interesting theory. Perhaps the reason is the most powerful solar flare that occurred these days. I hope the technology gets fixed soon. Today's episode will be a little shorter than yesterday because I'm in a hurry to film and edit it before my lights go out, so as not to disrupt the schedule. In addition to this news, new aid packages from Germany and Denmark were also announced, which will include the Leopard tanks that we need so much. In just a week, I received information that USA, Great Britain, Netherlands, Germany, and Denmark have formed new military aid packages that will help us survive. Thanks to everyone who takes part in this. When we lose soldiers due to lack of ammo or tourniquets, it's terrible and you want to give any money to save lives, but sometimes it doesn't work like this. I think I'm getting used to making these videos. It's a shame I didn't do this 2 years ago. I guess I needed to meet a guy from Germany to understand how important it is to talk about what you see here. This was my update on the Russian-Ukrainian war for the day number 821. Take care and see you tomorrow.